Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 28th day of July, 2023, Friday of the 16th week of the year, the 16th week in Ordinary Time, coming to you from my little undisclosed location, and it is a bit cooler where I am here. Hopefully it is getting cooler in Carolina as we continue to experience this heat wave. Again, another consequence of a changing climate, but let us hope it begins to abate somewhat, and cooler weather comes in soon. But anyway, on this Friday of the 16th week of the year, we move right into the commandments, and again, the elaboration on the commandments that is given in Exodus. Again, a second collection of commandments is also given in Deuteronomy, but this is the collection that we know best in one way. A lot of elaboration on the first 4 of them, and then the latter 6 are just simple statements. They are held up always, again, as the basis of all law and whatever it is. There is never in any of them a command to love. And that's what Jesus basically will say is the greatest of any commandment that God can ever give us, which is why it is the lasting commandment that is given at the Last Supper before Jesus enters into his passion, crucifixion, and resurrection. But we seem to kind of get all tied up on these, 10 basic rules, and they're not 10 basic rules, because there are thousands of other rules that will follow in the book of Leviticus, which nobody reads, because Leviticus, again, is the book of the law, and it's the expansion on the law upon these commandments, and it deals with a whole bunch of other things. But again, the first 4 are basically how to understand who God is, and again, it's like, so really there's only 6 commandments to deal with relationships with one another, and again, it doesn't cover everything. It doesn't really create enough, which is why, again, for the ancients, these 6 about parental responsibilities, and again, about about greed and controlling greed, about stealing or killing. Again, in the word killed, is it kill or is it murder in the Hebrew? It's always, very complex, because that means that any kind of military machinery that we have is against God's commandment and then should not be used. So, it's a very, the commandments are not as easy to basically just summarize and to state that this is all that you need to know or learn to be able to live a life in the life of God. They were an instance. They were a help, again, to begin to form who Israel was, who Israel continues to be. Again, elaborated on through the rest of the Pentateuch, the rest of the other 3 books of the first 3 books of the Old Testament, of the Hebrew Scriptures. Again, to lie them, to lump them into basically this is all that you need to know. And again, they will appear in all kinds of courtrooms and all kinds of jurisdictions around these United States, in the world perhaps, is not doing them the due diligence that they are. They are a way to understand God. They are a way to understand some of the basic things that we should not do, with each other, but it leaves it up to Jesus to tell us what we should do and how we should be and how we should act as believers in this world. Again, it does not eradicate the commandments, it does not say that they are worthless, but again, they need to be understood, and they need to be explained, they need to be interpreted, they need to be delved in deeper, which is what Jesus does in his earthly ministry, and which is why, again, we are recipients of the fullness of this, hopefully, of understanding what it means to be a part of the life of God. In the gospel today, again, we continue with this parable of the sower, which just does not end in Matthew's gospel. And again, we heard this all 3 Sundays ago, or something like that. And so, again, what are the good ground? What is the rocky ground? What is the weeds? Who's all of this? Again, it just further helps to show us that God will accomplish always what God sets out to do. That God is not about failure. That even if it looks like it is failure, it is God who will succeed in the end. And the question now for all of us as believers who have heard this word and who understand this word is that when it falls upon the rocky ground, upon the seeds, upon the weeds, upon those where the soil is not deep enough, those kinds of things, when we see the word falling in those areas among those individuals, what do we do to help so that the rocks may be removed, or the weeds may be removed, or that the soil may be fertilized and deepened, to be able to help us truly understand what this word can do for our lives? It is up to us always as believers in this world to help one another to understand what it means to be people of God, to be people of faith, to be people for whom the message of Christ is not just words on paper, it's not just words that go in one ear, not the other, but are words that give life, allow us to see our life in its fullness, in its wholeness, filled with the joy and wonder that God gives us. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.